Good morning and welcome to Unity Spiritual Center, Pflugerville.
Good morning.
Good morning. This morning we're talking about the flow of life, guiding the flow of life. And the question is, who is guiding the flow of life? A big word has been coming out for me. The word's control. Anybody familiar with that idea? Why can't I run my own life? Why doesn't it work the way it should work? I got involved in this crazy stuff called metaphysics years ago, and I'm still suffering. It ain't fair. And what the heck? I made all these promises.
That's the F word.
Say it again.
That's the F word.
Be careful. But it's true. It's frustrating. You look at the TV, which I'm suggesting we turn off, although I don't do it. But the idea is everywhere I go, there's issues. And there's division. We can't even get together with neighbors. And so there's this constant turmoil underneath. And it's actually, if you talk about the flow of life is what? What I'm living. Jesus said, you shall know them by their fruits, which meant what kind of life they live. By the way, that's a spiritual cough. So I've really been working on this. This last week or two, Larry's been very supportive for me. And we are definitely going through a change. It's everywhere that you look. And we are told the kingdom of heaven is within. It's the Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. All those promises, so where are they? And if anybody, I was reminded of a caduceus. And that is the symbol that the medical doctors use. And you'll see on the back there are two web interfaces of energy going through the body. Okay, one is physical energy, the other one's a spiritual energy. Okay, the question is, which one of these energies is running my life? Okay, and it's my choice, the way I think, which is basic metaphysics. So I always want to blame somebody else. Anybody familiar with victim? In other words, they did it to me. It's your fault that I have this cough. Okay? And I'm realizing it's an integrity issue, it's an integrity issue, it's an integrity issue. In other words, what we're teaching is a certain thing. Am I really living that life? It's true. And are we keeping up with the energies that are happening in the world? Now, and I decided, yes, I have to go forward. I ran into this Bible verse. Anybody familiar with cutting the Bible? Sometimes when you don't know what to say, you open the Bible. And I just happened to open it, and I will find it. As you can tell, even the energy in my hands is shaking because I'm going through a turmoil. I am honestly going through a transformation. Okay, now I have no idea what that looks like. So anyway, that's why I'm going on a cruise to get out of here. It's right here somewhere. Okay? Anyway. Oh, here it is. Matthew 5:37. But let your words be yes, yes, and no, no, for anything which adds to these is a deception. In other words, speak the truth, and it's yes, yes, or no, no, accepting what's happening. With the world in turmoil it's in, we are in denial. I'm in denial. In other words, we have been looking for, 3 years, 4 years, for a place to have a church home. We're here. This is our church home. Thank you, Terry. Okay, and we rent this monthly, weekly, and we are here. And then we operate the church out of our residence. It's called a manse, by the way, to make it legal. And that's how we have functioned. And we have been online. Now, I have been resisting that because it's not right. We should have our own home. Everybody agree? So, and our good president smiling at me because he keeps telling me it's a coming. Okay? But when we resist anything, we're making it worse. I want you to hear that. There's the idea of push, push, push back. Anytime you get pushed, you get pushed back. Okay? So if I don't acknowledge something and accept it for what it is, it continues to stay there, and if I can use a term, it rots. In other words, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And so the kingdom of heaven is within, and everything I do is reflected in my life. You stop and think about the flow of life. Energy always moves from a hot position of here to a position of lower. In other words, it moves. Okay, and you and I are generators of energy. We're creating that. It's called the Christ light. And Jesus said, you are the light of the world. Yes? Did he say that? See, we got to, I'm preaching, I know I'm going off on a tangent because I have not been sharing the message that we got to stop trying to control the issue and turn it over to the Christ. Okay? Even the idea of affirmations and denials are still me trying to steer things, if it makes any sense. So, Madeline made it very interesting. By the way, she is part of my transition. She's having her sickness this morning. And she said, what I realize is, if you go back thousands and thousands of years, everything was perfect. And over those thousands and thousands of years, I have existed as an energy, and I have assimilated all the conversations over those thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And here I am, a complete automaton being run by what I've experienced and not accepted. Because it's still there because I refuse to look at it. Okay? So it's right back to the idea, and I admit I'm reading this book, Michael Singer's book, The Surrendered Experiment. Okay, by the way, I think we should do a book study on it. But the idea behind it is that there is an automatic flow in life. You take a stream, a stream of water is going to find its way downhill, and it's going to follow the path of least resistance. The question is, what resistance does it hit, and where is its flow going? Its flow is automatic when we let Spirit run our lives. Yes? Okay. So in that conversation, why are we sitting here? Why are we doing what we're doing? Well, for some reason, you were attracted to be here today. I was attracted to be here today. And I got out of bed this morning and I made it. So the idea behind it is we all have a flow. And that flow is an internal guidance from Spirit. And when we try to take control by any means, we start going off track. Because it's not the flow of the Christ. Now, we get involved in mystical words, by the way. Anybody agree that that term can be rather ambiguity? Okay, and we're going to go right back to the original Greek, which is light. So it was really just a conversation called Jesus, the Enlightened One. Okay, so that's the conversation we're dealing with. So if we are really a child of God, then we all have that capability. Okay? And how come, if that's true, I can't just blink my eyes or wiggle my nose and everything changes? How come?
We're trying too hard.
What?
We're trying
Yes.
too hard.
And it's a process.
Yeah. What we're doing is we're taking control of it ourselves, and we're trying to, we know better. You hear the we? That's the ego mind saying, okay, this is what it should be. You should be that way. How can you get in front of a group of people and be sick the way you are? There's all these internal thoughts that go on. And it's called the ego mind. It's chattering. Anybody familiar with chatter? And that's running the flow of life. Okay? So the flow of life, what are the promises in the Bible and every other, let's call them holy scriptures that I'm aware of? The promise is always nirvana, the highest and best, all good. It's the Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. I think the Bible says worry not at least 30 or 40 times. So worry not. It's all taken care of. I like the 11th commandment, sweatest thou not. Everything's cool. Okay. So if you really look at that, why are we here and why are we experiencing the flow of life that we're experiencing? Okay. Now, anybody ever made a mistake? No. It's interesting how we determine what a mistake is. Do you understand that we set up standards that this is the way it should be, and if it's not that way, it's wrong? Now, who determines that? Whose decision is it that it's wrong? Mine. Because of a standard I set. In other words, you shouldn't do this. And I'll say, yes, Mom, from my younger years. Okay, or yes, Dad, or whatever, the world. So we are constantly building little models of the way things should be, and when things aren't that way, it's wrong, and I get angry. And the only way to get angry is to take it out on somebody else, because it can't be my fault, it's got to be your fault. So that's where this interplay occurs. So the big key I want to share with you is accepting what is. Accepting yes, yes. Now, in the overall scheme of things, we are creators. The kingdom of heaven is within. It's the Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. These things I do, you shall do, and even greater things. Those are the other promise. So if Jesus is telling us we're creating our world as we go, who created my issues? Who created where I'm living? Who created this room? I did, you did, we all did individually. And we are all living within the cocoon of our life. And we are looking at what is planned, and what is planned is conditioned. It's not spirit, as far as we know. So it's letting go and surrendering to the overall purpose. So I'm really, that's a big shift for me. And for years, I've done the, let's just call it the blab and grab conversation. In other words, you understand what I'm saying. And that's a big transition. You got to understand where I'm going, because this has been my life for years. And all of a sudden, I'm aware I am in a turmoil right now because I need to give up and let it go, and also let you go. And when I say that, I'm not responsible for you. I'm responsible for me. You're responsible for you. So it's a very, very interesting conversation. And prayer chaplains get into that, by the way. You know, if I can pray good enough for you, I can help you get healed. Okay? So there's all this conversation going on underneath. But the flow of life, and in looking at my life, I'm right back to what Jesus said when he was asked, you know, how can I tell somebody is a spiritual person? By their fruits you shall know them. How are they living their life? Do you feel love? Would you agree? All of you came in today. I could tell you are loving people. Thank you for being with us. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Debbie, thank you for showing up. And it's like, okay, this is beginning. This church was incorporated originally in 1975. March, I think, in 1975. Somewhere in there. And then reincorporated under a new name in 1990. Signed by Terry, the president at that time. And in that process, it's been up, it's been down, it's been up. And the truth is, right now, I think it's starting over again, but in a different context. And the context is, who has the answer to what's happening in the world? Okay? Anybody want to deal with, you're going to deal with the, thank you, Val. I'm stirring things up that much? That's great. I'm just thinking about, I have really shared with what I wanted to share. It's kind of like there's a transition occurring in the world. And I asked RJ to share with us. RJ attended a vegetarian conference at the Unity Village last weekend. The reason I wanted him to share with you is the root of what's happening now is internal violence within the consciousness of the world. And the only way to get back at whatever's wrong is to attack you, because you're my problem. And it's endemic and I'm going way out on this, it's endemic within our consciousness. It's thousands and thousands and thousands of years of programming that each of us have been part of us, and it's a willingness to accept that and let it go. Yeah, say it again. It is. And it's there's the human race, there's also the affiliated. In other words, different cultures, okay, different geographic locations, different skin colors, and they all make their own stories, and they develop this anger underneath. And part of that, I believe, is what RJ is a nut about, if I can use that terminology. And I would like him to share with us what he learned, what he came back with from this vegetarian conference. So those of you who don't know RJ, he's been what is he? Everything, yeah. He's been handling things for 25 years?
Almost.
Or 24 years?
24 years.
Okay.
Media and sound director.
Okay, so come on up.
All right.
I'll get Larry's chair.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Here you go.
If you can just scoot over just a little bit.
Huh?
You just scoot over this way just
Yep.
a little bit. And sit here and somebody make sure we're both in the shot, okay?
Okay, now. RJ,
Thank you. Thank you.
RJ's really been interesting to me. And I'll share with you in front of him that I was surprised at the depth of his conviction about what he's going to talk about. I really was. He caught me off guard. And I've really, really been looking at where am I going? What am I doing? And am I speaking my truth? And he hasn't convinced me yet. But anybody familiar with the word conviction? There's something there that I need to look at. So whatever, I have no idea what he's going to share. I know what's in his heart, so I'm hoping he shares. Okay. So having said that, are you ready?
Yeah.
Good.
Well, y'all, I discovered Unity in 1999, and I just saw the sign on the board on North Lamar, and it said Unity, and I said, I believe in that. What's this about? So I went in during the week, and then I came back for the Sunday service, and Reverend Jill was speaking, and I just said, wow, a woman minister and who's leading the church, that's what I'm looking for. That's something different. So as long as I've been in Unity, I've been a vegetarian since about 1989 or so. I used to manage a fast food restaurant. So I used to flip burgers, fried chicken, I mean, all that. And so somehow this consciousness that came through Rasta got in my heart that we shouldn't eat those other animals, we should let them be. And so that was always one of the things that I wanted from Unity. And I was digging around one day on Mark Hicks' website, truthunity.net, which I highly recommend
Yes.
for the history of Unity. And I found the original, what do they call it, creed or code of...
The creed, yes.
The original creed of Unity, which said that eating animals, we shouldn't do that. We should abstain from that to really honor spirit. And so I got this little book that Reverend Carol Saunders put together, and she's up in Wisconsin, and she's the one that went up in the Unity Archives in Unity Village. And y'all, I've been to Unity Archives twice now. This time I went last time. I looked up the Unity, they used to have like a daily speech they did on TV. And I went and looked up my birthday and just to see what was written. And, you know, all these amazing materials are there. So Carol Saunders went into the archives and she dug out all these things that Charles Fillmore had written. And she kind of just compiled all these different things and brought them back out. Here's one right here. When man eats an animal, divine order is disturbed. The animal is denied the right of expression and man clogs his system with sewage and secondhand food. So for me, this issue has just always been really close to my heart.
How did that make you feel? Okay. Interesting. It really is. It's just kind of like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
So 4 days ago, the veterinarian came to my house to put our dog to sleep. And I told my dog, I'll be with you till the very end. And I was, but when I said that prayer over her before she went home, I could just barely keep it together. And so I know that my passion for other beings besides humans is connected to her in some way, because she was my best teacher. The things that she taught me over the last 12 years, just of acceptance. I accept you for who you are.
Yeah.
Perfect, you know.
Yeah.
Nothing I could say or do almost is wrong. And I thought, wow, what if we could love our partners that way? Wouldn't that be amazing? We aspire to, I know we do. So, yeah, I don't know why this message has got so deep in my heart. I often ask myself, why do I love these little cows so much? And I don't have an answer. It's in my heart. It's part of my, I think, original love from when we came. Because that's all we were, was pure love.
Yeah.
And
then we forgot.
Valerie wants to talk.
Any comments?
Yes, please. Of course.
Greg and I have also done vegan and vegetarian, and we now ascribe to just trying to eat consciously. So we're trying to not do a label, but you know, how we treat animals is a reflection of how we treat each other, and when we don't honor their lives, human life.
Interesting concept. I don't think the average person understands. And part of my background was food processing, being aware of what happens in the food plants, if I can use that terminology. And it's not pleasant. And I have to admit that I have pushed that into my, I don't want to hear about that. Okay? And this is difficult for me because it's kind of coming out. Because we're looking at a violent world. We are looking at people that are killing other people just because they're different. We've been through crazy things in the United States with race relationships, and right now it's still going on. Why? Why is there so much violence? Why is all this anger there? And see, in the conversation, we have to look at it. Because if we don't look at it, it doesn't go away. And it's like, oh, I want to bury that. Okay? Now, this is uncomfortable for me. And I'm sitting here thinking, should we really be talking about this? But it's part of, I believe, the future. Larry and I were talking. I asked Larry, for those of you who don't know Larry, he's the woo-woo guru. And we were talking about the 26,000-year cycles. And the cycle, the Iron Age, we're going into the Golden Age and all this kind of stuff. And we are in a flux point. Is that fair terminology? And in that conversation, we are moving from a state of energy here into a state of energy here. And the state of energy here is iron, which is rigid, which is stable, which is good form. And what is the form of gold? It's fluid, it's beautiful, it moves easily, it melts easily. So things are going to be changing. So we are living in this world, and we're moving into this world. And see, we've been trained to work in this world. The new world is here. So it's being open to new conversations. So the songs we're singing, I forgot I was going to ask Paul to put them up. But it says things are new. I'm hoping for a new way. And is the way I'm living right now working? And if I'm honest, I have to say, okay? Because people I know, we in this group, we're not completely happy. And when I say that, I mean fulfilled, contributing, making a difference in the world. We've been in groups where all of us have been there, where we can feel the energy. And that energy needs to be expanded out. Okay? So this is a conversation about violence is at our basic, we're living a violent life. Okay?
Paul, can you pull that song, that last song that we did? Can you pull those lyrics back up for a second? Because I thought the
Now that-
lyrics from this song I thought were perfect for what we're talking about today. Every mother, every father, daughter, son. I just think we need to open our hearts a little more and expand and really consider every mother and every father. Because what I see about these cows is when they come out, they love their mama, right? They just want to be close to their mama. They want the milk. But then if the mama gets taken away, or the baby gets taken away and sold, then the mama's crying and like, where's my baby? You're taking my baby off. And
Yeah, I warned you. Okay?
so I just think we got to look at these things and say, is that really the highest way we can show up?
So, more comments.
Well, I have a comment because I do eat meat. Thanksgiving, we have Thanksgiving at our house, and there's always about 10 or 14 of us, 10, 14.
It's a wonderful group.
And there was a turkey, and I just said, oh my gosh, thank you God so much for putting that bird on earth for me, for us to share. And I bless it. I just love that.
The blessings,
turkey.
the bountiful blessings of,
Not at home,
yes.
just with the food.
yeah.
But I just thought God created that bird, and it's there for me to eat. So I understand, but I also understand the other side.
See, that's where I am right now. Okay? I got to be honest, so I couldn't eat my sausage this morning. Excuse me.
I think a lot of this, for me, even go back before we get into food and such, is really about, for me, it's about understanding that force is okay. Force is what created that flow that's in that picture there.
That's the power.
Without that flow, the water would have never gone that way. Without that force, the push, a seed would never open if it didn't have some force. I think a lot of it comes back to the motive that we're looking at, like why things happen, and particularly around the judgments that we make. If we can say, it's okay that it is what we would typically label good, it's okay that it is bad, it's okay that it's ugly, insofar as what do you truly desire? What's the end game? Where are you headed toward? And for me, the same thing goes with food. I don't have a problem eating meat as long as we're looking at that from a place of respect and honor of where we are. That's my personal belief structure.
See, that's
But it's like, oh, what makes something violent? Well, violent is about your motive, in my opinion.
For me, I mean, this shirt, Let Peace Begin With Me, like, this was the name of the seminar. And we all sang the song, and we actually sang a different version of the peace song that had some different words in it. And it was a little more inclusive, and I went, I like this. This feels good to my heart, you know?
Thank you for allowing me as a visitor to just share my perspective as others are doing. Lately, I've been learning a lot about plants and the fact that they are actually conscious and they have a life too, but it's very different from what we call life. We usually think of animals as life.
Right.
And when you realize that if you hurt one plant here, it actually communicates with other plants nearby. And they've actually found that to be true. So when I think of violence toward animals, I'm wondering, what about violence toward plants? Is it the same? Is it different? And I don't know, for some reason I've been watching a lot of these wild shows on Netflix, and where you see lions eating zebras. Usually the zebras get eaten alive for some reason, but the zebras are eating the plants. So is it violent when the zebras are eating the plants, or is it violence when the lions are eating the zebras, or is it one big circle?
that's right. Is it part of the divine cycle?
Yeah, and going back to the message of guiding the flow of life, I've surrendered my life to things I don't know, because can't force anything. So
Interesting.
I just don't know, and I'm becoming comfortable with not knowing.
Mm.
So every message resonates, whether it's plants, animals. I'm okay with it.
I want you to notice yourself. Okay, people are moving. Some of you are uncomfortable, some of you aren't. Some of you are okay, some of you ain't. And I use ain't on purpose again, because you're bumping up against what you are. Okay, we all have different ideas. We really do. Okay, and it's part of growing. See, we don't grow, we don't go to higher levels unless we go through the unknown, the chaos. It's called the chaos theory. And things don't change and go to a higher level until you go through that chaos. And chaos is, oh God, what's happening? Okay, and it's questioning. You know what? I don't like this. Fine. Why don't you like it? And what is bumping up against me? What is bumping up against my heart? And why couldn't he got to me. I couldn't eat my sausages this morning. Yes. Now, does that mean I'm done? No.
So on Tuesday evenings, our book study right now is the Tibetan Book of Living and Dying. And we just finished the 3rd chapter. And it's super interesting how in Western culture, there are just things we don't discuss.
Yes.
And when we get uncomfortable about stuff, we just become the ostrich that sticks its
Yes.
head in the sand.
Yes.
And I feel like this is one more example of how beautifully this spiritual community can take a topic that's a bit uncomfortable, a bit that people don't like to talk about. But in the Tibetan Book of Western society abhors talking about death. Like we have this fear that if we talk about death, that we're inviting something, the superstitions that are around that. Where in Eastern culture, it's very much just a part of the natural cycle of life. And everything that you do as a living being has the fact that you are gonna die in that framework. And so I think it's great to have this conversation, because there are things that, like if you are gonna have a non-plant-based diet, you have choices about where you buy your animal protein. You know, support somebody who ethically raises them. There are ways that you can live both sides, but still have an influence and still approach it in a loving and spiritual
Thank you.
manner. But I'm so grateful to be able to sit here and have this conversation, have this open-heartedness, have this trust and understanding among the spiritual community to be able to talk about some stuff
It's
that's
important.
hard, because where else are you going to do it?
We got to talk about it. And the key to it is still love and appreciate the individuals that I disagree with. Because it's the conversation. It's an open dialogue. See, a dialogue means back and forth. And it's not just you. I have certain feelings. Does that mean I'm right? I'm learning more and more. Okay? Which is part of what we are learning to surrender. So where are we going? Larry, there's a group of us have been working on called the Function of Ministry, where we're going and how we're going to function things. This conversation is rather salient because it's time to look at who we are, where we're going, what we're teaching, and who is part of our group, if I can use that terminology. Now, not everybody agrees with this. I hate to admit it. I don't know why. However, when things start changing, and what do they call it? Something hits the sand. Okay? People are looking for answers. And I'll cough that out. And those answers come from dialogue of being honest deep within myself. And the only question we've got now is, am I part of the conversation? Or do I want to isolate myself over in a corner? Which is fine. I love me if I do that. And you. However, we're all in that turmoil right now. And we're being forced to look at the world. Okay? Tell me you don't like what's going on over in the Mideast. It's crazy. We still haven't resolved racial relationships here in the United States. We're still messing with all this stuff because we're not talking honestly about it. And we're not really looking in our heart. And I'm preaching, so I give up. Larry.
Sort of a interesting conversation is that Chinese Buddhists came to the belief that eating onions or garlic spurred violent emotions.
Yes.
So it's just the chemicals inside of those change how your thought patterns.
We're right back to man-made conversations. And what is divine and what is spiritual? You know, what is spiritual and what is part of the conditioning of the world? Okay? And over here, the world is saying you got to fight for everything you're going to need, which brings underneath that violence idea in our world. Okay? Randy, you're thinking.
I'm listening.
Okay.
I guess the other thing I want to add is that
Uh-oh.
the community people that we had in this class, there was 43 people that registered, and they were just kind, sweet, real people. I mean, they all had stories to tell about things they've been through and challenges they're dealing with, and but there's I guess a conviction they have in their heart.
Okay. That's okay. You want to wrap it up? Anybody else?
I just want to say thank you for your conviction.
Thank you, brother.
I'm here because of you. That's powerful because you're very influential in my life.
Thank you. Thank you, brother.
Thank you for being here. Appreciate you.
So there's a term called allyship. It's kind of a new ALLYSHIP, allyship.
Yeah.
Allyship probably is a better way to pronounce it. And it's the foundation of the belief that it is okay for us to have different opinions. It is okay for us to have different lifestyles. It is okay for us to approach things differently. But you know what? I support you 110% in your journey. I support Paul 110% in his journey. It's that mutual respect and absolute conviction that you want the highest. I mean, to me, it is a perfect definition of Christ consciousness.
Yes.
I am going to be absolutely convicted in supporting my fellow human being, knowing that in every breath they take, they are doing the very best they can at that point in time. And I think if we carry that out into the world, and we're there for each other, even though we may not think the same or believe the same,
Or look the same.
be there to support somebody. I think that's what this conversation is.
It is.
Thank you.
I've got to say this. You need to change to the minister track, not the OUT track. Have I said that before? Okay.
You're not the only one.
I look at her eyes and I say it.
Well, thank you for putting up with me. RJ, you're a blessing. You've been always a blessing. And it's kind of like you hide. Okay? You have a light and let the light show. Okay?
Yeah.
There is a light from this group. There is, so I appreciate you. So
Thank you all.
I love you.
Love you too.
Thank you. We're done.
Thank you all.